Alright, welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. This is the second case in the game, which I personally like to consider the true start of the game. This is the real first case. All of the second cases I usually consider to be the first real case. Because as I said in the last two videos, the first case is really just your freebie case. It's your tutorial, it's only one court session, whereas these are the ones that start to actually get in depth. And a little bit of trivia. Well, I don't know if it's trivia, but this actually was supposed to be the first case of the game. This one that we're seeing right now. That is one of the things in the localization that I think is fairly notorious, because this should take place in Japan, but it takes place in oh man, I'll get into this later, but it takes place in America. So they gotta localize it by instead of having it be traditional Japanese food, it's burgers and stuff like that, and that's fairly notorious. So yeah, unfortunately, Mia Fey has in fact met her fate, which isn't great because I do like Mia. It's a little unfortunate they took her out of these games almost immediately, but that is the reason that this is the second case instead of the first, because they wanted to give, a little time for Mia and Phoenix to interact and show them actually, working together and show their relationship, really. I don't know if that was supposed to be a Metal Gear reference. I know, again, it's without voice acting, it's hard to tell. But that, to me, it sounds like if that was in fact voice acted, it would have went Chief? Chief? Chief! Now, I like this kind of a case because it's one that gives Phoenix an actual real reason to solve things and everything like that. And here we get introduced to the real meat and potatoes of the investigation days. The game is broken up into court cases and investigations. This is how you do it. It essentially becomes a point and click game. You just select what you want to examine, and then you press, I think it's the A button in the Wii version. I guess it's the A button in the other version too, where you can press the touch screen. But yeah, this one isn't very in-depth. It's just, you know, look at Mia, and essentially that's it. Phoenix will point out the piece of paper, and then you just examine that. It's very simple. That is going to come in handy, literally at the very last moment. So, now what we can do to move in between areas, I thought that was the phone. It is not. It kind of looked like a phone shape, but it's not. Yeah, I can very clearly see the phone right there on the table. So yeah, you can press the one button sometimes to move in between sections of one room. Not every room is going to have like 2 sections like that. Now it appears that we have a witness to this. That's another area that has kind of a pun name. I don't know if you can tell. Phoenix just said, the Gatewater Hotel. I don't know if you could tell, but the joke there is obviously Watergate Hotel. You know, Watergate, Gatewater, it's fairly simple stuff. Oh, it's okay, he works there, don't worry about that. See, this is, again, one of those things where, for whatever reason, this game decides to show you 2 of the murderers. I don't remember if they show you more, but all the other games, like, essentially don't do this. Like, the first case showed us that it was, Frank saw it, was the murderer. And in this one, it showed us the guy who murdered Mia. We don't know his name yet, but we know what he looks like. So we know that Maya did not do it. Yeah, it sure is Maya. So, Maya Fey is one of my favorite characters ever, like, in the series. I'm going to be saying that a lot. Every time we meet, like, a new character in this video, I'm going to be saying, this is one of my new favorite characters. Such as, should be actually, like, immediately, too. There he is. Another one of my favorite characters, who has possibly one of my favorite names in the entire series. His name is Detective Dick Gumshoe, which essentially, if we're talking lingo, his name is essentially Detective. Because Dick, Private Dick, is a slang for detective, and Gumshoe is a very old slang for detective. So I think that's actually really funny that his name is Detective. For whatever reason, he's not saying his usual catchphrase right now. He's ending, like, every sentence with, like, C. I guess they were trying to do, like, in the beginning, they were trying to do some sort of, like, old film noir, kind of like, yeah, you're coming with me, C. But, it's weird, because they immediately drop it, and Gumshoe, like, never talks like that ever again. And he usually has something that he ends a sentence with, but for some reason he didn't say it at all there. I mean, to be fair, they do suspect her of murder. Pretty sure this is another one of those cases where no matter what you choose, you're gonna get the same result. But I mean, we might as well leave it up to her. It's not a decision we should be making. I don't know, because we never see Phoenix outside of court, so it's kind of hard to tell how he looked. I somehow doubt Phoenix would ever be able to strike fear, really, into anything. Other than maybe, like, a door. So, this is what we really do when we're in the kind of investigation mode. We have a bunch of options. We can move, talk, examine, and present. Usually the first thing you want to do is, if you're in an area and there's a person there, you're going to want to talk to them. And here we are being explained about spirit mediums, which is very strange. This is one of those things where, if, again, this was a very straightforward, serious, grim, dark game, you know, about murder and trials and stuff, this would not be a good series. The fact that they have silly things like spirit mediums and acolytes and such like Maya is great. It adds to the fun and the just ridiculousness and the kind of heightened reality that this series has, which I love. The best way to get information from someone is obviously ask them everything available, because we asked her something unrelated to spirit mediums, and then we got the ability to talk to her about spirit mediums. Other ways to get that is presenting certain items to certain people and stuff like that. Like, say if we had like some sort of important clue that we just found, we can present it to Maya. She could say something about it, and then we can ask her about it more. So that's one of the manners in which the investigation isn't just look around and find a thing. This happens a lot in this game. You get like someone writes you a note and you have to present it to someone else. That's usually not the case in other games. Like sometimes it'll happen. Like sometimes you'll get like a investigation request or something like that, but not a lot of the time. So we're gonna want to accept, because, you know, we don't want to... We want to do whatever Maya wants right now. Her sister did just die, and now she's being accused of murder, so I think we should probably just let her do whatever right now. So yeah, we're gonna have to get someone else to defend her. Although personally, I think we all know how this is gonna end up. You can ask her about that. I don't know why that comes in now. It's very odd. See, this is information we already know because of the cutscene in the beginning. Well, it's not really a cutscene because nothing really happened. But, usually the game will kind of go like, it'll cut to black and it'll be like, I explained what went on, or they explained what went on. So we don't usually see a lot of exposition that we already know. So now we're going to move to the law office.